shooting less than 30% from deep in the series. Here's Tatum on the battle with Jaylen Brown's winning for Finals MVP. Finals MVP or whatever, champion is champion. That's the goal. I want for my teammates what I want for myself. I want everybody to shine. There's enough attention for all of us, and so I want everybody to give us theirs. He's pretty much, I know he's shooting under 30% from three in the series, and probably, what's he around,
35% from the field.
Shooting 100% at the press conferences.
He's coming off great. He's coming off great.
It's like a veteran presence. Yeah. Has the finals helped or hurt Tatum?
Look, I see the other side, but I'm going to say helped.
Oh.
He's going to be a champion. Like, he's a made man. He's an NBA champion. He's the best player, and certainly was during the regular season, of a team that had a historic run. Whether we think they're an all-time great team, people are going to be throwing that out there. And he was their best player. Okay, he wasn't the Finals MVP. Okay, here's the company you keep. These are guys that were definitively the best player on their teams and didn't win the Finals MVP in their first championship. And this isn't the exhaustive list, but just a few legends. Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas, and Larry Bird. So, I mean, that's where you're at. And so you're probably going to make the other argument, which I see some of those points, but I'm going to say at the end of the day, this has definitely helped him. He's a champion, and no one can take that away from him.
Yeah, but what if Steph and Isaiah Thomas and Larry Bird never won another title and never got to win a Finals MVP? Steph won 3 more titles and then won Finals MVP, and we saw how much it meant to him. And we saw, now Steph was a unique spot because I thought he was the best Warrior in the first Finals, and people were so amazed by being able to hold LeBron James to just 36, 13, and 9. They gave it to Iguodala. And then the next 2 Finals, Durant, another legend, played so amazing. And so it's weird. You can't really, except for in 2016, it's not fair to be like Steph played poorly. And even in 2016, it was only for 3 games that he played poorly. Larry Bird, you talk about all the time, had the bad 3-game stretch, but then also went on to win 3 consecutive league MVPs, win multiple Finals MVPs. So I don't think it has hurt him because of what you're saying, but I do not think this has helped him. I think that it has helped his reputation as a leader and a guy. You know what I mean? Like what you're saying. A good guy. Character, and by the way, that stuff really matters. I'm not trying to, but as far as if going into the finals, when you were making your list of, NBA players, like, okay, Jokic is 1, Luka's 2, Giannis 3, wherever you had Tatum before the finals, he certainly hasn't moved up.
Yeah.
And he might have moved down.
That's fair.
Like he
guys
might have
trust in the finals, bro. He hasn't moved up.
No, and he maybe has moved down, right?
Jaylen Brown has moved up, like Derek White has moved up. Luka's always.
Well, Derek White's not on my list of guys.
I'm saying, but if you did a list, if we did a game 1 list of like guys we trust the most to show up in the finals,
but here's
just these guys.
Okay, this is what is left out of this conversation too much because look, Derek White is great, but I'm tired of hearing him higher than Jason Tatum.
I'm saying, but
Jason Tatum is the focal point of the other team's defense, not Derek White, and the secondary would be Jaylen Brown. They will tell you. He draws the attention that totally opens things up for guys like Derek White.
But that's also why maybe he shouldn't. But it's
no,
also
he's not shooting well. But I'm just saying, he is getting a lot more defensive pressure than a role player.
No, right. So I almost want to. I'm not trying to disrespect your point because I understand the point you're making.
I like Derek White.
No, I do too. But it's
about the 4th time this week. He's an all-star.
But. If we're just talking about stars, guys who either have made an All-NBA team or have been knocking on that door, whatever it is, your list of those people, Tatum didn't move, even if they win tonight, he didn't move up. And if somebody says, you know what, going into these playoffs, I had Tatum because of his body of work ahead of SGA. But going into next year, I have SGA ahead of Tatum because, we don't know what SGA looks like in the finals.
Great argument.
But I think he would look better than this. Again,
volcanic argument, but it's going to be great.
I'm not even, again, that was like just a create a player argument. I'm not even saying that's what I believe. I'm just trying to think of things people would say that I'm like, okay, so be it. And so I don't I don't think he's helped his stature amongst his peers,
right,
if we're ranking him. But I do think he looks like a great guy, a leader, and clearly he can be the best player on a team that can be up 3-0 in the finals.
That's where, and I get what you're saying. Like, individually, he hasn't. We talked about same thing with Luka. He won't go into the season next year high on an MVP list, right? Like, this actually could work against him in that regard. And so I get that. But just getting that ring, like that, and he was the best player. He wasn't a role player. Like, that is huge for him.
But he's not in the club of Jamal Murray. We always showed that stat of like, wow, really rises to the occasion. Luka rises to the occasion.
Well,
we would think that.
Here's the other thing.
But less was expected of Murray.
And this is maybe.
But I agree, he hasn't, played better.
More for next week if we're still talking about this. The other thing that this finals as of now has opened up to a degree is nobody was asking who's the best player on the Celtics before this season. If Jaylen Brown goes conference finals MVP, finals MVP,
something.
There will be some people that say he's their best player.
Yeah,
he could also just erupt tonight.
Yeah, no, he could.
Well, would that be
your reaction?
No, he's not looking past. You heard the question. I thought his answer was fine. It's not like he was saying, oh, this is over, we got it. They were saying it, and they were presenting him a question about if you win this championship, on top of that, how great would it be to be one of the all-time great Celtics teams? So I have no problem with his answer. In fact, I think he's right on the money. Now, for the comments about, you'll say we didn't play anybody, beating Dallas, especially sweeping them, beating them, period, but sweeping them, it erases all of the talk about they didn't play anybody. And I was a champion of that talk, all right? But it erases that because they beat the team that beat the team that beat the defending champions.
Okay.
And they beat the team that beat the number 1 seed in the Western. Like, Dallas had a tough road.
Yes.
And they beat them, and if they're sweeping them, I mean, this is impressive. Now, the 15-2 or 16-2, should they sweep? Yeah, sure. Against better competition, it probably wouldn't have been that. But I'm not going to hold this against the Celtics at all. All right, so I think his answer was good. I will say this, though. It's the same thing I've been saying. I still won't consider them like an all-time great team until they were, as he said, to do it again.
And that's not unfair. And it's
how history is. We got 2 teams, maybe, that are one-offs that are all-time great teams. You got the 83 Sixers, which you talked about yesterday, and maybe the 72 Lakers.
Oh,
no,
sure, yeah.
I wouldn't say the Blazers.
Okay.
They won 33 straight. They had Wilt Chamberlain. They had Gail Goodrich. They had Jerry West. I know you never heard of Gail Goodrich.
I like Gail Goodrich.